Greetings everyone. My name is Bhavya Maurya. I'm a student of ITEP Semester 1 from Jesus and Mary College of University of Delhi. Today I will be presenting on the topic Visions and Objectives of Jain Education, Philosophy and Educational Practices, which forms part of the paper Evolution of Indian Education under Unit 2 Ancient Indian Education, Buddhist and Jain period. Through this presentation, I aim to introduce the key ideas, concepts, and relevance of the topic within the broader context of school education and teacher preparation. I will be covering the major themes presented in a structured and concise manner. I hope this discussion offers meaningful insights and contributes to our collective understanding of the topic. Moving forward by just having a glance at what particularly Jainism is and what are its views on education. So, at its heart, Jainism views education as a sacred process of inner refinement, aiming for ethical perfection. The primary goal is not merely success, but self realization and ultimate liberation, which is also called moksha. This necessitates a holistic development, integrating intellectual, emotional, moral, and spiritual growth. This whole philosophy rests in the three core pillars: ahimsa, which is non violence, aparigraha, which is non possessiveness, and anekantvad, which is pluralism. We will explore how these principles shapes the entire learning experience. Now, to truly appreciate the educational vision, we must first understand the fundamental Jain worldview concerning the soul and reality. So, Jain philosophy is a dualistic realism, asserting that existence consists of two eternal substances: Jiva, which is called soul, which is conscious, sentiment, and capable of knowledge. The next and second one is Ajiva, which is non soul, which include matter, space, and time. The critical concept here is karma. In Jainism, karma is conceptualized as subtle material particles that cling to the soul, binding to the cycle of rebirth. The ultimate goal of life is to stop the influx of new karma, to eradicate the old. Therefore, the educational implication is very clear. True education liberates the soul by eradicating karmic impurities through self discipline and right conduct. Now, if the goal is liberation through knowledge, how does Jainism define knowledge and truth? This brings us to the complex epistemology, starting with non absolutism. So, the most crucial epistemological concept is anekantvad, or the principle of non absolutism. This is the metaphysical theory that reality is many sided or non absolute. This view is often called pluralism. It teaches that no single viewpoint can ever capture the whole truth. The truth is always complex. Education through this lens cultivates intellectual humility and is essential for fostering tolerance and openness to diverse ideas and cultures. This understanding of non absolute reality is further refined by concepts governing how we express the partial knowledge. First is Syadvad. It is the theory that every judgment is relative or conditional. It teaches students to use precise language and avoid making absolute rigid assertions. Next is Nai, which refers to a specific partial viewpoint from which an object is known. This emphasizes the limitation of human knowledge, as every statement is only a partial truth. Together, these principles, including the Saptabhanga, which is called seven forms of judgment, train the student in critical appraisal and comprehensive analysis. Now, this combination of conditional knowledge and ethical action forms the foundation of the ultimate Jain path, the three jewels which must coexist. The core ethical framework is the Ratnatraya or the three jewels: right faith, right knowledge, right conduct. Right faith means Samyak Darshan is the initial step. It is the conviction in the truth preached by the Tirantharas of the trusting path. The second is right knowledge called Samyak Gyan. It is the intellectual step, the understanding and comprehensive clarity of reality's nature is particularly the right knowledge one can have. Then comes the right conduct, which is Samyak Charitram. It is the practical step, the action and ethical discipline necessary to stop karma or walking the path. So, the complete education requires the integration of all these three jewels. So, this right conduct is expressed through strict adherence to the ethical principles, foremost among them being the principle of non violence. Ahimsa, non violence. It is the highest duty and the synthesis of all Jain principles. It means non injury to any living being in the broadest sense. This extends beyond the broadest one's own action, karata. It includes non-violence committed through another's agency, karata, and non-violence consented to or encourage, anumodan. Educationally, ahimsa fosters compassion, which is called karuna, and creates a learning atmosphere of tolerance and kindness. Ahimsa is followed by the five great laws, which translate directly into educational practices. First is Satya, second is Asatya, then Brahmacharya, then Aparigraha. Satya is truthfulness, which says that cultivating honesty in learning and integrity in research is very crucial. Then comes Asatya, which is non stealing, which says that respecting intellectual property and not taking credit for others' work. Brahmacharya stands for purity. It states that maintaining the mental and physical discipline is very necessary for tapas, which is studying. Then comes the aparigraha, which is non possessiveness, which states that minimizing attachment to grades, material rewards, and academic status is very important in the life. To sustain these ethical commitments, the student requires powerful tools of inner development and self study and self discipline. So, the commitment required for the ethical and intellectual journey is built upon two core practices: Swadhyay and Tapas. Swadhyay is self study. It is the practice of autonomous learning that endorses the student's independence and self motivation in owning their education. Tapas is austerity or self discipline. It is the necessary self restraint and hardship undertaken for moral growth, essential for acquiring the strong self control and perseverance to achieve long term goals. So, these practices are vital for developing the inner strength needed for intellectual rigor and ethical choices. Then, coming to the next slide, so this particular slide displays the visual which summarizes the entire process, moving from the internal to the external outcome. It starts with the inward foundation of the self control, which is tapas, and autonomous study, which is swadhyay. This foundation leads to the integrated learning, which is the merging of material and spiritual knowledge, which results in the holistic development, the growth across intellectual, ethical, emotional, and spiritual aspects. Then the process finally leads to the final aim of preparing an active, enlightened, and globally responsible citizen. With the inward foundation established, the process of integrated learning can begin, guided by a unique pedagogical relationship. Yes, here the role of Acharya or teacher is very crucial. They are seen as a living role model embedding the ethical principles, right conduct. Their primary duty is the moral and intellectual formation of the student, not merely instructions. This relationship is based on the mutual respect, disciplined commitment, with the guru being essential for transmitting right faith to the student. Then, along with Acharya, the curriculum also plays a very important role, right? So, the curriculum of Jain was holistic with a focus on logic, ethics, metaphysics, and psychology. The key teaching methods include the experimental learning, focusing on the practical application of ethical and philosophical principles. Dialogue and inquiry are vital, utilizing Anekantvad to encourage critical appraisal and multifaceted analysis. Furthermore, moral instruction is integrated across all academic subjects for comprehensive moral literacy. Then, this ancient wisdom has profound relevance today also. It addressed some of the most pressing global and social challenges in contemporary era too. So the Jan model provides a robust ethical framework for navigating complex modern life. Anekantvad is a powerful tool for promoting pluralism and reducing intolerance in diverse classrooms. Ahimsa promotes the principle of live and let live for universal peace and teaches students to approach disagreements with compassion and non-violence. Then the system directly addresses the environmental crisis too. Like the Aparigraha provides an essential lesson in responsible consumption and minimizing one's impact. Crucially, Ahimsa extends non-violence to the ecosystem, promoting a sustainable and caring interaction with the nature. Additionally, Jainism historically emphasizes gender equality and trains individuals committed to social upliftment. Now, in conclusion, Jain education is a unique blend of intellectual, ethical, and spiritual growth. Its key contributions, Anekantvad for tolerance and Triratna as the ethical path, prepares learners like us to thrive in a complex, fast changing environment through self control and wisdom. It provides a timeless model for value based education relevant to all global challenges. So, at last, I would just like to thank you all for joining me on this exploration. As I leave, let us remember the core principle of Jainism. The duty of every soul is to help others. Yes, I repeat, the duty of every soul is to help others. Thanks for joining.